This is ABC 7 News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Dan Ashley. We're going to begin with a major development in the legal battle over same-sex marriage. Tonight, both California's governor and the Attorney General say, let gay marriages begin. They filed briefs in federal court asking the judge who overturned Prop 8 on Wednesday to lift the ban. ABC 7's Lillian Kim is live in the newsroom with more on an important development today, Lily.
Dan, this is an extraordinary move. Both the governor and the attorney general asking the federal judge who overturned Proposition 8 to impose his ruling. A legal brief written on behalf of Mr. Schwarzenegger says California has already issued 18,000 marriage licenses to same-sex couples without suffering any resulting harm. Government officials can resume issuing such licenses without administrative delay or difficulty. On Wednesday, U.S. District Court Judge Vaughn Walker ruled Proposition 8, the same-sex marriage ban, unconstitutional. He must now decide whether to let his ruling become law immediately or extend a stay, which is to maintain the status quo by prohibiting same-sex marriages as this case moves through the higher courts. Both sides of the debate submitted their arguments today for and against. In addition to Governor Schwarzenegger, Attorney General and gubernatorial candidate Jerry Brown filed a motion urging the judge to allow same-sex marriages to resume in California.
As the federal judge concluded, there's a fundamental right to marry. And that was the position that I took in this case. So if there's this fundamental right, normally we don't talk about delaying in the exercise of a right. That's what a right means. It's something deep within the fabric of our society that is available to all individuals.
I think we should wait for the courts to take a course, and I think everyone believes it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Why muddle things up right now, and let's just play it through and find out once and for all what the decision's going to be.
There is no time limit on when Judge Vaughn Walker can rule. No hearing has been scheduled, and Judge Walker has not said when he will make a decision. In the newsroom, Lillian Kim, ABC 7 News.
Okay, Lillian, thanks very much. And for more now on the next steps in the Proposition 8 case, joined by ABC 7 legal analyst Dean Johnson. Dean, this statement today from Governor Schwarzenegger and from Attorney General Brown, obviously fascinating politically, but very important legally. Talk a little bit more.
Oh, this is huge. This is the last piece of the puzzle. The one thing that weighed on Judge Walker's mind as far as allowing same-sex marriage to go forward was the possibility that thousands of people might get together and get married while this litigation was pending, only to have their marriages undone by the United States Supreme Court. Both the governor and the attorney general have now said, we understand that might happen, but and we're concerned about that, but that concern is by far overweighed by individual constitutional considerations and other considerations of public welfare.
As the attorney general talked about in the piece there, the fundamental rights, he believes, outweigh anything else, but there is concern about the chaos created if these marriages are ultimately reversed. I want to ask you about the stay, therefore. When should we expect a ruling, and what do you think he'll do? Will this add pressure to him to undo the stay?
Well, I think Judge Walker is going to lift his stay. I think that will happen in about 7 days.
And that's not what we thought, though, a couple days ago. We really thought that might not happen.
Yeah, initially we didn't think so because of this public interest consideration, the concern about the impact on the state pending decision by the United States Supreme Court.
Okay. Now, let's talk about, you mentioned the Supreme Court. There are a couple of steps before that happens, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Right. Within probably the next 7 days or so, assuming the stay is lifted, the Prop 8 supporters will undoubtedly go to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I think they will affirm Judge Walker's decision lifting the stay, if you can keep all of that straight. The next step, I think, would be to go to what we call the Circuit Justice, the Supreme Court Justice who supervises the Ninth Circuit. That's Anthony Kennedy. There it gets very interesting because everyone believes that Anthony Kennedy will ultimately have the deciding vote when this matter comes before the full Supreme Court. So in effect, what we will see in the next 7, maybe 10 days is a preview of the entire litigation.
I want to ask you something that's popped into my mind about the issue of the chaos potentially created by this stay. If the stay is lifted and gay same-sex couples get married, does that add some sort of additional pressure on the legal system not to reverse it, or does it have absolutely nothing to do with it?
Well, it's one of the considerations just for entering the stay. The question before the court is whether there's a fundamental right to same-sex marriage, and that question will be examined by all the courts. This is really a policy consideration for whether or not to stay the decision or allow same-sex marriages to go forward. And in doing that, the court has to weigh all of the considerations, including how it affects public policy and public
So it doesn't
interest.
necessarily have anything to do, augur poorly or well for what will happen with gay marriage?
It really doesn't.
Okay.
It's a separate consideration. But right now, it looks like same-sex marriages might go ahead very soon.
Okay. Thank you, Dean. Dean Johnson, ABC7 legal analyst. Well, there